Good morning, everybody. So, welcome to the webinar today. We are going to discuss how you have to keep up your immune response and understand wellness or maintain your cellular wellness to have good hair growth. So, what we need to first appreciate is that it is not only alopecia areata, but role of immunity is suspected in the pathogenesis of pattern hair loss as well as scarring alopecias. Microinflammation, altered immunity in peri-infundibular infiltration, concentric fibrosis around the bulge area of the follicle is the hallmark of pattern hair loss. This has been seen practically in all the cases of pattern hair loss. Rising similarity between pattern hair loss and lymphocytic scarring alopecias, between these alopecias and PCOD and thyroiditis, which have immune mediated mechanism. This we have already considered. We feel that the pathways of hair loss mainly are TGF beta, the Wnt-Dickov pathway, and sonic hedgehog signaling. But if you look into the details, these pathways are not pathways that are hair specific, but these are pathways that are generalized mediators of inflammation and immunity in the body. So, a report in 2012 by Hang and Singh, the pro-inflammatory role of TGF beta 1. Report by Che in 2016, Wnt antagonist and Dickov 1 promote pathological type 2 cell-mediated inflammation and immunity. De La Roche reported in 2013, hedgehog signaling controls T cell killing and immunological synapse. So these pathways are not hair specific. What the body is trying to tell us is that hair loss is a part of altered expression or response to inflammation and immunity. Immune suppressing drugs used in treatment of autoimmune lupus and rheumatoid arthritis cause hair loss. Methotrexate, leflunomide, cyclophosphamide, etanercept, these are drugs that cause hair loss as a side effect. Poss and Iwabuchi in 1996 and 1999 respectively have studied hair growth stimulation or control by immunosuppression. Though there was a debate about whether this is achieved as effect from initiation of anagen rather than immunosuppression. Cyclosporin A was the only drug that was successful in mice on single application, could stimulate anagen in the follicles. So it was not clear from these experiments whether the effect is from immunosuppression or is just stimulation of anagen by the drug, but these studies have been done. Smith in 1996 has studied hair loss in HIV patients. Again, immunosuppression in HIV patients or patients having immunosuppressive disease in HIV suffered hair loss. There was again a debate whether this was due to the immunosuppression primarily or this was due to secondary infections being caused because of the immunosuppression. But patients who had this because of the immunosuppression mechanism showed apoptotic or necrotic keratinocytes at the upper end of the external root sheath. The epithelium was dystrophic and the hair shaft was dystrophic. Black patients who suffered HIV have reported that they got comparatively straighter hair when they were suffering the HIV infection. So this gives us a background of how inflammation and immunity influence the hair growth cycle and are important in the hair growth cycle. Now, what is immunity? Immunity is the ability of the body to protect against virus, bacteria, microorganisms, and toxins. mainly the recognizing between self and non-self. There are various kinds of immunity. Innate immunity is what is inbuilt in our body. It comes through the genes. And just because you belong to a particular race or particular species, you could be immune to certain conditions. It is pre-existing natural immunity, has got memory, and it allows us to give the rapid first response to any antigen or stimulation. Anatomical barriers also serve the function of immunity, like mucus secretions, the acid in the stomach, the pH of the skin and the scalp, the process of phagocytosis in blood cells, blood proteins, cytokines, neutrophils, killer cells. These are always ready to fight anything that is foreign to the body. So these also serve as the part of innate immunity. Functional integrity of cells offers protection and immunity to the cells and the system themselves. This is necessary. If the cells lose their functional integrity, they become exposed or they become weak in their immunity. Acquired, apart from innate, you could have acquired immunity, which is passive. If you're using ready-made immunoglobulins or convalescent serum from a person who is recovering from similar infection or vaccination. Active generation of antibodies as a part of defending the foreign agents. This is acquired immunity. Adaptive immunity is the humoral or cell-mediated immunity. This does not have any memory. Immunity is sustained by maintaining the internal environment of the body or the homeostasis in the body. So wellness maintained at the cellular level ensures that the immunity is good. Lack of immunity is termed as susceptibility or vulnerability. This makes the cell systems weak, dysfunctional, unable to resist the action of external factors, and this should be prevented. It is prevented by repair of day-to-day wear and tear of the cells, restoring the energy integrity of the cells, and restoring cellular function, which is done by nutrients, or which we do every day by having food. Just because we live for 24 hours, at the end of 24 hours, certain cells in your body have undergone the wear and tear, have undergone the use of energy and chemicals which were available inside the cells, the nutrients inside the cells. Unless we replace them, they cannot be brought back to action. So when you're unable to meet the nutritional requirements to restore function and immunity, you have rising incidence of disorders. So the connection between nutrients and immunity, various studies have been done for this. A report in 1997 by R.K. Chandra, Nutrition and Immune System, published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. This says that nutrition deficiency causes impairment of T-cell mediated immunity, phagocytic function, complement system, the secretion of immunoglobulin, adaptive antibody response, antibody concentration, and cytokine production. These are all caused by nutritional deficiencies. Increasing susceptibility to infections, increasing morbidity of the cells, and impaired immunity, which can be enhanced by use of micronutrients, namely zinc, selenium, iron, copper, vitamin A, C, E, B6, folic acid, or B9. They have important influence on immune responses. Cell-mediated immunity is in low birth weight infants has been recorded to be restored by just zinc supplementation. Another report in 2019 by Benolz, malnutrition impairs mitochondrial function and leukocytic activity, published in the Nutrition Journal. This report says that malnutrition is associated with oxidative stress, inflammation, and endothelial dysfunction. Our hair follicles are made from mesenchymal cells, which are endothelial, similar to endothelial cells, and ectodermal cells or epidermal cells. And hair follicle is the only mini organ in the body that undergoes rapid growth and involution with a precision controlled turnover of cells. This mini organ undergoes cycles of growth, regression, and involution. Again, growth, regression, involution. So whatever small changes are happening in the body are amplified and seen here very quickly as a mirror of your wellness, because the cycling of the cells or turnover of the cells in this organ is regularly happening at a fast rate. So it becomes evident here more easily than in any other organs. Again, connection between nutrients in immunity and inflammation, more studies. Studies by Wintergust in 2007, contribution of vitamins and trace elements to immune function. This study enumerates antioxidants, trace elements, vitamins A, C, D, E, B6, B12, folate, selenium, copper, iron, zinc, which counteract damage done by ROS, the free radicals, and modulate immune cell function through regulation of redox sensitive transcription factors, cytokines, and prostaglandins. Is a detailed study. Numerous nutrients, trace elements, and vitamins have been included. It also shows that micronutrients support the Th1 cytokine mediated immune response and avoid the Th2 cell mediated immune response to maintain their status as anti-inflammatory. Vitamin A deficiency impairs both innate as well as adaptive immune response from extracellular pathogens. Vitamin D specifically causes higher deficiency, causes higher susceptibility to infections due to impaired localized innate immunity and defects in antigen-specific cellular immune response. So vitamin A and vitamin D have a major role in determining our inflammation and immune response. Nutritional deficiencies suppress immunity and alter cellular response to various factors. Another study same year 2007 by Maggini, vitamins and trace elements support immune function by strengthening epithelial barriers, cellular and humoral immune response. This is the title of the study. Published micronutrients by enhancing immunity at all levels. Some more good studies by Calder, where now gradually people have started thinking immune system and functional foods, computational of nutrition. Says that amino acids, essential fatty acids, linoleic acid, vitamin A, folic acid, B6, B12, vitamin C, zinc, copper, iron, selenium restore immune function and resistance to infection. This study emphasizes the role of probiotics, saying that bacteria improve host immune function. Mucosal flora in the gut is related to specific immune mechanisms. So restoration of mucosal flora in the gut by use of probiotics has been emphasized in this study. The study also creates a question that often seemingly healthy individuals with immune dysfunction improve with nutrients and probiotics. So these people do have a doubt as to why this is happening. We know this is happening because of covert, undetected deficiencies and compensated failures. So whenever there is nutritional dysfunction or deficiency created in the body will arrest hair growth, will use autophagy to break down the cells, retrieve essential nutrients from the cells, and redirect them to important systems and to the circulation. So if you check in the circulation, the lab reports will say that the nutrient levels are normal, but in fact these are being kept normal by not only arresting growth, but if required, even undergoing programmed breakdown of the intracellular organelle by autophagy. That is why this was noted in the study, and they found that there is no explanation for this, but this is the explanation. The study also mentions that excess amount of nutrients can also impair immune function. Does mean that nutrients are good. You just keep on popping them every day in a multivitamin capsule. You need to take them in synergistic doses and in the right proportion where they don't exceed the dose and give you optimum absorption, optimum function. Study by Cunningham on mechanisms of nutrient modulation of immune response. Journal of Allergy and Immunology. This study emphasizes that genetic mechanisms and pathways are involved in gastrointestinal immune response. Protein calorie malnutrition and zinc deficiency activate the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis or the HPA axis. Increased level of glucocorticoids cause thymic atrophy and affect hematopoiesis. Generation of blood as such. Chronic undernutrition leads to altered immune cell populations and increase in inflammatory mediators. Leptin acts as cytokine-like immune regulator in overnutrition. Naturally, leptin is your hunger hormone. So if there is overnutrition, it will suppress the appetite. Appetite suppressant. Controlling inflammatory response in malnutrition. Relation between stress, inflammation, and immunity. We always say that stress reduces your immunity, stress reduces your immunity. So what are the studies that support this scientific phenomenon? Liu in 2017 published a paper saying inflammation, the common pathway to stress-related disease. Stress is a state of threatened homeostasis or threatened internal cellular environment provoked by psychological, environmental, and physiological factors. This is the definition of stress put in by these workers in their paper. It's a very nice way of expressing the role of stress. And stress is a state of threatened homeostasis or threatened internal psychological, environmental, or physiological factors. Stress involves multiple neurochemical, neurotransmitter, and hormonal alterations through the sympathetic nervous system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and secretion of substance P, which are mediated through ROS. In the last 2 decades, prolonged chronic exposure to stress becoming a part of life, has increased physical and psychiatric disorders which are referred to stress-related disorders. Stress is found to be the common linking factor between 75–90% of the diseases, which include cardiovascular disease, hypertension, atherosclerosis, diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver, psychotic and neurodegenerative disorders, depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and cancer. This is the extent to which chronic repetitive stress is affecting the system. Inflammation is the common pathway for stress-related disease. This point has been emphasized more than once in this study. Stress can activate inflammatory response in brain as well as peripheral tissues through communication between neuroendocrine and immune systems. Neuroendocrine and immune systems are acting in close conjunction. Chronic stress causes cytokine overstimulation, weakness in the negative feedback control of ACTH and glucocorticoid release, reduction of plasma GC receptor sensitivity, leading to pro-inflammatory effect. Because initially, as soon as you have stress, there is release of ACTH and glucocorticoids, immunosuppressive, and they suppress the effect of the stress. But as this becomes chronic, it changes the sensitivity of the negative feedback mechanism or the receptors. When the level of ACTH and glucocorticoids in blood is rising, it is not sensed by the receptors, and this level keeps on rising. In a normal negative feedback mechanism, as soon as this level rises, it gives a negative feedback to the brain and it stops the secretion of corticosteroid releasing hormone. So the adrenal cortex keeps on secreting ACTH and glucocorticoids, which leads to inflammatory. Glucocorticoids also promote accumulation of pro-inflammatory prostaglandin E2 and enhance the expression of inflammasomes. Inflammasomes are the mediators of chronic inflammation. Again, some more studies connecting stress, inflammation, and immunity. Takeda, a Japanese